Hello everyone, welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the de Havilland Beaver. Welcome back to the de Havilland Beaver. We took a look at this aircraft on the 40th anniversary edition, and then we took a look at it again on the free update that I think it was Godfriends released for several aircraft, including the Beaver. And today we're going to be taking the amphibious version, obviously, on a short-ish, 30-ish minute flight across the Canadian wilderness. We've got some really nice big mountains flanking either side of us here. So we're going to go ahead, get loaded up, and get underway for a ground-based takeoff, and then we'll settle in for a water landing after we complete our journey. Let's begin. Alrighty, starting up the Beaver. It's been a little bit for me, so you'll have to bear with me just a little bit here. Got the rudder unlocked, all that good stuff. I think fuel selector will be up first. We'll go center tank. We'll set our mags to both. This isn't necessarily the correct order, but it's the one that works for us. Prop to full. We'll go master battery on, beacon and nav lights on. Fuel booster. And let's take a look at our fuel pressure. Where are you? Fuel pressure? Temperature, oil, there's fuel pressure, so we're just above the green marker there. Take a quick look in our prop arc, make sure there's nothing there. Get a quick clear prop out the window, and then we will hit the starter. Very good. Engine-driven fuel pump is now taken over. Let's get the rest of our aircraft set. Avionics power can come on. Let's turn off that map light. That's a little bit bright. And our GPS should be pre-configured. We use the flight sim default for our flight planning today. Let the engine warm up a little bit. Oil temperature is fairly low, so we'll let that come up a little bit, at least to 40 before we taxi. Cylinder temp should come up a little bit too before we start really loading the aircraft up. I'm going to go ahead and get our autopilot set. And I will check back with you guys once we're warmed up and ready to taxi. Alrighty, and a little bit of a warm-up later, we are set to taxi. We're just above 40 for the oil temp. Cylinder temp's rising up nice, so we're going to go ahead and taxi out, get our run-up done, and finish waiting out on the ramp. Hopefully that gives us enough additional time to warm up the motor sufficiently. But boy, do I love flying the Beaver. I've done a lot of flying with it off video, off stream, whatever you want to call it. Not recorded, and it's a fun airplane to fly. Very versatile. Who doesn't love the sound of a good old radial? I know I certainly do. Looks like this is going to be the hold short for runway 23, not 22. So we'll do our best to get fanned out here. The wind's actually coming from slightly behind us. We'll make this work. Let's go ahead. Looks like we're already picking up a little bit of ice on the windscreen. Okay, oil temp's just above min. Cylinder temp needs to come up a little bit. Carb heat is in a good condition. I'm going to roll carb heat back just a little. Actually, I'm going to shut it off entirely while we do our run-up. So let's check our tachometer. There you are. We'll run up to about 1800. Alright, there's 1800 established. And we will go left. Nice drop. Back to both. And right. Back to both. Good response there. Let's check the prop. Very nice. Alright, roll the manifold pressure back to about 1,000 RPM. Cylinder temp's coming up nicely, so is oil temp. We'll add some more carb heat back in while we run our takeoff, since we are looking at some icing. I don't think we've got any anti-ice capabilities. We don't, so we'll just have to make do with what we happen to encounter. Lap set for takeoff. There's our hold short lines. Alright, final checks. Carb heat. Carb temp's looking good. Oil temp will come up. We're above 40, which is fine. Cylinder temp's right in the min arc. Good amps, good volts. No alternator light. And sufficient field altimeters are set, so let's go flying, eh? Real gentle increase on the manifold pressure. So we're nicely established in the green arc. We'll roll the prop back just a little bit. Bouncy or a little bit crosswindy down the runway. Gentle breeze coming from our left-hand side. Nothing we can't handle. Good rotation there. Quick squeeze of the brakes, and up come the wheels. Start raising those flaps to the climb configuration. So you look at carb temp's good, oil temp's now in the green, cylinder temp's coming up. We'll keep climbing for a little bit here on our hand controls. Get our autopilot a little bit adjusted there. And we're just going to follow this canyon route out for a little bit. Switch off the landing lights. We're in the middle of nowhere here, so I don't think anybody needs to see us coming or going. Boy, that Beaver sounds good, doesn't it? Looks good too. Love the reflective metal surfaces, I should say. A little bit of wind bumping us around. That'll hopefully become no factor shortly. Anyway, I will catch back up with you guys once we're coming up on our cruise. And maybe we'll sneak some aviation news in this episode. You guys want some aviation news? There's a little bit of stuff going on, so let's see why not. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll get close up to climb and then talk some ab news. Alright, and now that we're nicely established at a relatively good cruising altitude, let's take a look at some aviation news of this week, starting with Spain releasing a report on the near between a Ryanair Boeing 737 and a EAT. Is that... Oh boy, I'm not up on that airline, but anyway, A330. I've seen the CCTV footage of this. It's interesting. Oh, don't be like that. I just want to read your stuff for free. So we're gonna do this live. I didn't read too much into this here, but so let's see here. Aviation Herald reported they've got a, for those unfamiliar, Ryanair 737, which had just taken off, almost collided with this performing a missed approach ship. There's tons of videos covering that if you haven't seen it already. Well, let's take a look at what they've found. So ATC mistakes. Report concluded the failures are on part of the air traffic controllers, were a large part, okay. After granting authorization for the Ryanair Boeing 737 to take off, an ATC controller recognized the possible collision and made the decision to increase the vertical separation between the two planes. Logical, that makes sense to me. A decision that wasn't theirs to make as it falls within the purview of approach control, which is interesting. So they must have separate approach controllers versus local ATC. So maybe the tower's got a... Okay, that actually makes sense. If they're on a missed approach and are already either outbound, gone missed for IFR, or if they did a go-around or whatever, then they would be on approach control. So that makes sense. Report adds that following takeoff authorization for the Ryanair aircraft, the local controller, quote, should have transferred both aircraft as soon as possible so that the A330 could separate them as I saw fit. Okay. Makes sense. Or no, approach control and then LACB is the airport. I'm sorry. A controller eventually handed off to approach control, which incorrectly believed the A330 would climb to 3,000 feet and not 50. Yeah, 1,500 feet. That's extremely low for a missed approach. Usually it is 3,000 to 4,000 feet and you go to a hold pattern somewhere. Ordered the 737 to stop climbing and remain at 2,000 feet, which now is 500 feet of separation. And for those of you not familiar, you want usually minimum 1,000 to be comfortable. I think that's where TCAS starts to get yelly, is 1,000 feet. I guess they're also putting blame on the A330 crew. Pilots received a warning regarding their secondary flight control configuration, prompting a decision to perform a missed approach. Interesting. So is that secondary flight control? So is that like high lift devices, flaps, or spoilers or whatever? So maybe they just weren't configured. They did a go-around, did not immediately inform ATC of their intention to do so. In fact, the crew only communicated this to ATC after receiving late clearance to land. Total of 54 seconds between the warning and informing of ATC. This isn't the first near-miss Ryanair has been involved in over Spain. Shocker. No, Ryanair is a fine airline. They're just a low-cost airline, and everyone loves to meme on them. Back in 2018, 2 Ryanair planes almost collided with another one over them. So Ryanair, from what I understand, I've actually never flown on Ryanair, but I take them as the equivalent of like Southwest here in the States. They're a low-cost airline. They fly primarily 757s and or 737s rather. And then they also are taxi and operate on a relatively fast schedule. So you'll have Southwest 737s that are taxing a lot faster. Just everything happens a lot faster with Southwest. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, that's not saying that they're not doing their necessary, you know, procedures and all of that. They just do them a little bit faster than someone in, say, a Boeing 747. Kelsey on 7.4 gear actually did a very, very good job of explaining this. He's a 747 pilot who actually understands this. Do I have time for more aviation news? Not really. We'll start descending here and get configured for landing. Let's do a final check of all of our temps. So our carb temp is a little bit low, so we'll add a little bit more heat there. Cylinder temp's still kind of low. There's nothing we can do. Oil temp's a little bit low, so we'll keep the power on. As we fly into this cloud, it looks like we've got some snow coming down as well. Throw on the landing lights. I'm not liking this descending into IMC situation. So maybe I'll see if I can get topography on one of these two guys, but I'm going to get configured for descent here. You can see we've got those really, really low-hanging or high-standing mountains over there. But we do need to start a descent, so let's go ahead and begin that as best as I can. Let's do a descent rate of 1,000 feet per minute. Down to 4,500. Quick altimeter check. Outside air temp is minus 10 Celsius. Just which one? So we're within freezing temps. That's why we've got snow blowing past us. We'll just maintain VFR for the time being. I actually don't know how to use the GNS 530L that great. Let's see here. There's not going to be a proper arrival or an approach, so that's going to be pointless. Okay, well, we'll make do. We'll make do. Yeah, none of that is applicable for what we're doing, so. Oh, getting a little bit fast, so we'll roll power back a little bit. That'll give our carb a chance to warm up a little bit as well. Cylinder and oil temp will fall, but that's okay. And I'd actually like to, if possible, slow into the VFE arc. Yeah, so see, that stuff right there is what we're trying to avoid. Those big mountains out ahead. As you can see, we've got some mountainous terrain here as well. We're all right, and we are established at 4,500 feet now. We're going to keep rolling off our airspeed as we crest this mountain range here. And start looking for that waterway once we do. I can already see some water out there in the distance. In fact, I think that is our anticipated seaplane base. Let's go manual control here. And we'll hand fly in the rest of the way. Start throwing the nose down a little bit. And rolling that power off as well. Quick check on the carb. Carb temp's good. Cylinder temp's good. Sorry, oil temp's good. Cylinder temp still a little bit low. I don't think the Beaver has a cowl flap, not an openable one. It looks like it's just a static cowl flap there. So for those of you who do know how to get that cylinder temp up in the Beaver, let me know. I know there's a couple of levers down there. There's a carb heat, which I have been actuating, and the one next to it I thought was like emergency. Oh, it's a fuel pump. So I don't think it's any of those, but it's alright. We have nearly made it safely. Does that look frozen to you guys? That looks a little frozen to me. Yeah, that is frozen water. Well, we're gonna see how the old how the Beaver handles ice today. Maybe should have picked a warmer time of day, or a warmer time of year. Alright, coming into our flap arc now. Throw down that first notch of flaps. Help us start slowing down. Still looking at that water, which is very, very frozen. They've even got the boats pulled out of the marinas. Also trying to figure out where our intended landing zone is. I really don't know. So one nice thing about operating out of fixed-wing airports, so it is just off to our right. As you can usually, anyway, the fixed-wing comment I made just a second ago, you can usually tell where you're supposed to be landing and not, but not in this case. I think it is just down there, though. So we'll get a circle to land initiated here. Start arresting our descent. Oh, there's some houses over there. Over there, it's like a BMR wing right now. There's just nothing there. We're gonna go for those houses over there. No, we're not. We will circle to land as was intended before. And let's go full flaps for maximum slowage. And we'll see what happens when we contact this ice here. It's just solid. Okay. Okay, well, lesson learned. Lesson learned. Can I get gear down? You really shouldn't do this, but we're gonna do it anyway. There we go, gear down. Nice and sturdy like. I much rather would have skid the aircraft on the skids versus putting the gear down into straight water. Alright. Let's get our flaps retracted. I guess we'll just pull up next to the frozen pier here. Here we go. I do want to get a amphibious landing in at some point. This was not what I intended. You can actually hear the water waves, which is hilarious to me. I'll let you guys hear that in a second once we power down here. Okay, so car peak cold. Yeah, it's an emergency fuel and oil shutoff. We don't want that. Let's go transponder to standby, radio power off. Pitot heat off. Just don't care about pitot heat anymore. Then we'll go, I guess we'll shut down here. Very nice. All lighting off, instrument light can come off, mags to off, master battery and alternator off, and fuel selector to shut off. That is going to do it for this video in our little brief aviation news. We'll have definitely some more in future videos to come if that's something you guys are interested in, but that is going to do it for this video. There you can hear those waves so confidently lapping as though they aren't frozen. Anyway, I will catch you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching this one. I do dearly appreciate it. And as always, take it easy.